Welcome, I'm Darren, and I'll be your guide today as I rank the 1993 Michael Jordan base cards. And I am taking a little bit of a liberty here with this set because in 1993 we had basically this one more set than we had in 1992. In 92 we had Topps Archive. Topps replaced that with Topps Finest in 1993. But Upper Deck also added Upper Deck SE, which would technically put us at 9 sets. The problem is that 1993-94 SE is really a 1994 set. Not like a lead into the next set. It's like the very last set of the 1993-94 year. And because of that, it's not so much a yearbook of the previous year as much as looking into the next year. And Michael wasn't playing in the NBA at the time, so he didn't have a card in the set. But they did not miss the opportunity to include him because it's Upper Deck. They had a contract with him. And so they created 2 SP cards tacked on to the end of the set. And I'm going to go ahead and include them because they are the Michael Jordan card for Upper Deck SE. And SP cards are very rare for Jordan, at least during this time. So throwing it in is no problem. But also it's really fun to see these cards. So I am going to have 10 cards, even though there are only 8 actual base cards. I'm just going to count this. And I may do inserts at some point, so this wouldn't even fit in with that anyway, so that's fine. But I want to go a little bit into that right now because to me, the weakest of all these cards is one of those 2 SP cards, which is the Johnny Kilroy card. Now, I have to admit, I love the idea of the Johnny Kilroy card. Because the idea is, well, okay, Jordan's off playing baseball, but how can he really be away from the game? He's probably going to sneak onto a team and play basketball, right? And so instead of the ridiculous idea of abandoning baseball and coming back to be a full-time player, they instead came up with the more reasonable idea that he would don a mask and take on a new position on a team, unbeknownst to anybody else, with very much a Humpty Hump type look. And that's what this card is. It shows Michael as if he had snuck onto a team as the alias Johnny Kilroy, wearing jersey 4, which I don't know if that's because 23 is 2-3 and then 4 would be next, or because he's off to try to get his 4th championship. Exactly the exact reason for the number, I really don't know. But it's an interesting idea for a card, and that's what I love about it. It's fun and playful. It doesn't look good because, I mean, look, the Humpty Hump mask is not exactly intended to look good. And the card was not all about looking good. It was really about the gag. And it succeeds. But at the end of the day, it's not a great looking card. It's just, it's not. So A for intent and not A for the aesthetics. Still pretty cool though. But to me, that's the weakest. The second weakest, I know a lot of people are going to have a problem with this because it's Finest. And look, at the end of the day, even in 1993 Finest, not the greatest Finest set, and the Jordan card is definitely not the best card in this set. I mean, the set design itself has the tie-dye effect, which I guess is trying to get the weird resonance of the colors that's so cool there's such a cool possibility on these cards, especially with the refractor version. And so the idea behind it is noble enough, but the way it looks is not good. And then that whole beef skewer look behind the player is, look, in another part of the set, they had bricks. The bricks looked great. Why didn't they do that? I don't know. They hold back the potential of the card, but the Jordan image is just a lousy image. I mean, the jersey is good, but he can't see him at all. Nothing iconic about it. It's not a good looking card. The only reason people like it is because it's iconic, because it's an expensive Jordan card. That's literally the only reason for anybody to like the card. Otherwise, it's just not a good card. So yeah, here it is just about the worst card of 1993 for Jordan. The next one that I have is, Topps did a better job with their Topps card. And this card, I'm actually I kind of warm up to this card a bit. And that's partially because the design for 1993 is not a bad design. But also with this card, there's something interesting about it, which is that whole swoosh in the design at the bottom kind of works with his arms, which are like a big circle. And then you got the hoop up there. And so there's a cool relationship that they have. The jersey's right up front, which I like, but here's the thing. He doesn't look like Michael Jordan. I mean, this almost looks like a version of Johnny Kilroy where they took a Karl Malone card, airbrushed the jersey, and did a cut and paste of Jordan's face onto the image because it just doesn't look like Jordan. It looks like a power forward. And that's the thing that gets me about this card is whenever I look at it, it doesn't look like a Jordan card. It's a nice enough card, but it absolutely looks like it should be more Horace Grant than Michael Jordan. Very interesting and unusual circumstance, but regardless, the card doesn't look bad. It just doesn't look like Michael. Now the next card that I have moving into the better range is, well, we got one more card from Topps and let's go with it. Stadium Club. The Stadium Club card is a card that I want to put higher on the list because it has a very clean, nice look to it. Jordan is very distinct on the card, although he's not dominant on the card, which is kind of weird. But it's the red jersey. That's the thing that helps on this card. Then the card design itself is just, it's the 93 design, which is not a great design. But here's the thing. It's not iconic. Topps wasn't iconic. Finest wasn't iconic. It doesn't have a look that jumps out and says, this is Jordan. It has a look that says, yep, this is another Topps Stadium Club card, which is, perfectly fine. But look, if you're going to have a Jordan card, make it worthwhile. Which prompts me to move up to the last honorable mention, the one just outside the top 5, which is Fleer. And Fleer's the first card that actually has an iconic look. It's the kind of look where when you look away, you're going to remember what the card looks like. And that's not because of the card design. The simple white border is, fine for showcasing the image. The design feature is that wonderful team color of the not at all wonderful spray paint effect for the player name. I've always been torn by that, which is that I love having the team color. I just don't like the way it looks. But it's all about isolating the shot and making the shot look good, and this is a great shot. It really is well selected. Now, the white jersey is not as dominant as a red jersey, but with the white border, it actually works pretty well and then allows for the red in the jersey or in the uniform to kind of pop out a little bit. And so that works great. So here's the thing. This is an image that will resonate with you. This is not a card that you will remember, but you'll remember the image. So it's actually starting to become a card, a complete card. It'd just be nice if the Fleer card looked as good or even remotely as good as the image. And that's why it's outside of the top 5. Okay, so when we move into the top 5, I got to say that the previous 2 I just talked about and the next 2 I'm going to talk about are all very similar in terms of how well they come across. They all have their own strengths and their own weaknesses, and that's kind of the way to talk about each one of these. And for me, the number 5 card is NBA Hoops. This is a card that is a complete card. It has a pretty cool technique that they used for the card design where they have the ghosted band toward the bottom of the card with the player name in team color. They have the team logo there, which is a quality of hoops I've always loved. They started in 1990, did it every single year. Love having the logo on it. All that is great. And it's a full bleed image, which allows for the image itself to really carry on this card. And that's where the weakness is for the card, because the image is perfectly fine. There's nothing about the image that is in any way a disappointment. But there's no reason to celebrate this image because the image has, it's interesting because you got 3 players on it and they're all kind of dominant. And then Michael is up on the top and then kind of, he's isolated from the other 2 players such that when you look at the card, you actually see him. He stands out. So the whole card works together in a great way. But when you look away, you don't remember it as well as you do with the Fleer card. You might remember the design better, but you don't remember the individual card, and that's the problem with this card. And so that keeps it stuck here at number 5. At number 4, I've got Skybox, and Skybox is, this one's a real disappointment for me because the 93 design for Skybox is perfectly fine. They have a white banner hanging down on the side of the card where you have a little bit of team color for the name at the top, you have a team logo at the bottom. That whole big white area is an opportunity for the picture to interact with the border, for the player to kind of spill out onto it, which is a great idea as long as it's not a big empty white space. And on too many of these cards, that big white empty space is a little bit too dominant. And especially with this card where the only interaction is his leg, which is crossing over in a weird spot, and it's frankly distracting, which is a real shame because of the fact that I like the image otherwise. I mean, if his leg wasn't out, his leg was, lined up with his left leg, I think this would have been a much, much stronger card. Now you would have had him balanced with the banner, would have worked well. Everything would have been a lot more clean. He does not need to interact with the banner, or even have the banner cover his legs so that his leg isn't what's standing out. Because when I look at the card, I go, that's cool. And then the leg jumps out to me and ruins it all. It's such a shame, but it does have an iconic look for the card design, and he looks pretty iconic on it as well. So it does the combination of everything. And that's the sad part, is I'm already up to number 4 and I haven't found a card that's actually a complete card. Unfortunately, 1993 had too much of this going on. 92 was more consistent, 93 not quite so much. But I move on to number 3 to get back to Upper Deck SE with their SP card for his retirement. And now we have just a straight across the table, all-time classic look. This card, I mean, okay, so we would see this shot a couple times later on with Upper Deck with various sets in the later years as they were just cranking out Jordan cards. In fact, I watched a video from, I think it was Chris Sewell, who did this poll of, I think 5 athletes. Who has the most cards of all the athletes? And I assumed it'd be Jordan because of all of his 90s cards, but I didn't realize Jordan doesn't have that many cards after the 90s, whereas Ken Griffey Jr. and Nolan Ryan do. So Jordan wasn't the selection on that. In fact, he was pretty low because in the 1990s, there were so many sets in the mid to late decades of Jordan cards. Jordan set, Jordan set, Jordan set, and we got to see some retirement cards. But in 1993, or again in 1994, this was the retirement image. You got him at the press conference on the front, baseball on the back. Very unique, very unusual, very distinct, and with the SE design with the holofoil treatment on the card makes it look really special. And that's the thing, is that the card looks unlike just about anything else except for a few of those later card set cards. And the whole look to it is very special. That combination, to me, makes this card an easy number 3 on this particular list. But numbers 1 and 2 are just all-time classics. Absolutely all-time classics. The runner-up being Ultra. Now, the Ultra card, I really do like the 1992 design. The way that the card looks, the shot of him, all of that is really great. Except there is a division between the two, which is why I had that ranked down as low as I did. Here in 1993, everything got so well, it blends together. And that starts with the peach design for the element on the bottom, which is a skin tone, which in the NBA, that's a relative term, but the reality is hardly anybody actually has peach-colored skin. Instead, it's a neutral earth tone that actually works with pretty much everything. So that means that every single card, the player and that earth tone of the peach they don't fight. They actually relate to one another, which allows for the team colors to be do their own work. And then you got Jordan with the red jersey, which is great, not a lot of it. And then the shot of him is really strong shot, although not very iconic. It doesn't pop right out. Instead, this is a card that doesn't have anything about it that's over the top. Instead, everything works so seamlessly. It's like the perfect card. That's the beauty of it. I absolutely love that about this card. Absolutely love it. And I would love to put this at number 1 because this is one of those cards that always resonates in my head. But there's another one that does that as well, which is Upper Deck. And here, this is a card that, well, okay, right off the bat, let me just say, Okay, you got him dunking, and then there's a spotlight in the rafters that's shining right down on you, right where he's at. Sound familiar? Yeah, it sounds really familiar. Sounds to me like 1992. I mean, it's a great design idea, so why don't you go with it again? Which makes almost a bit of a redundancy. But what makes the difference between the two cards isn't so much how he's dunking as much as the rest of the card. The 1993 design has that wonderful team color to black fade on every single card, and there's so much of it. It just absolutely builds a wonderful spirit of team. The team spirit just carries through on this card so well, and allows for him to be a lot more distinct and strong, and for you to connect with him a lot more. I love the 1992 design, but the 93 design has a whole nother level. Not that I'm ranking between the two of them, it's just that the 1993 design is the one where when I look at it, every time I look at it, I go, that's the 1993 card. That is it. That is the one, absolutely hands down, as far as I'm concerned. I love the Ultra card just as much. But to me, the Upper Deck card is that one that is more, it stands more as the iconic card, at least for 1993. So I give it the nod. And that, for me, is the ranking of all of the 1993 Michael Jordan base card designs, plus the SP cards from SE. So let me know in the comments below what you consider to be, if there's any, which of the cards you would like to see ranked further up, or which one you think should get pushed back down. Let me know in the comments below. I'll be doing the poll tomorrow, or starting the poll tomorrow, so we'll get to see how everybody feels about all of these. I've already done all the cards leading up to this, and I've already done 94 and 95 as well, so you can check that out if you care to. Other than that, yeah, thank you guys for watching.